Allow me to set the scene here. It's travel day 19. It's pitch black. We are resting comfortably in a tight but functional berth on the massive ferry that does an overnight crossing of the English Channel from the Hook of Holland. The low hum of the engines is constant. It's my turn on the top bunk, approximately 30 inches from the overhead speaker. At precisely 5:30 a.m., Bobby McFerrin, "Don't Worry, Be Happy," comes across every speaker on the boat. This is our alarm clock. In 45 minutes, you must be packed, fed, not likely, and off the ferry. Don't worry, be happy. I am not happy, with no disrespect to Mr. McFerrin. It's dark, it's raining, it's too early, I'm hungry, and we have 120K to make up today. I'm not happy. We are negotiating customs and then roundabouts with a few hundred 18-wheelers that are getting off the boat with us, all of it in the dark and on the other side of the road. Welcome to England. But I'm also not worried, since we have Adrian's knowledge and steady pace to keep us from floundering. Don't worry, be happy then. It's a state of mind I try to gear up for. We do have a bit of elevation to deal with today over the course, but nothing crazy. It's more the pace of our ride today that is pushed, as we ride with someone who is more the 28 to 32 kph guy. We settle into a nice rhythm eventually. Adrian's only advice? Stay on the left side of the road and watch for the white panel vans. Oh, and those bustling hedgerows. Stay away from those too. We get used to the fact there is literally no shoulder on the roads whatsoever. The bonus is, most of our riding today is snaking our way along tiny secondary roads and paths through Suffolk County that Adrian knows very well.
The wrong side of the road here.
Now, you can't help but notice that cycling here, while it's better than it was, is nowhere near the mode of travel it is in the Netherlands.
Wow.
It's actually unfair to compare. There are 23 million bikes and 18 million citizens. Here in England, you have 56 million people and 7.5 million riders. And it's not about density either, as the Netherlands are way more dense in terms of people per square kilometer than England or any other major country in the EU, for instance.
Thank you. We're a long way from home.
Adrian tells us it is better than it was for riding, but they still have a long way to go. And post-Brexit, it's probably fallen down the list of priorities like much of what the British used to be proud of. Bikes are a big deal in Cambridge, though, what with the student population and all.
Here?
Yeah, right there.
We will be visiting with Adrian and his wife Carol for 3 days. Now, this affords us an opportunity to ride the area and be the out-of-season tourists we so desperately want to be.
Looks like a real posh place for lunch. What do you have?
Bacon chili. Soup of the day and served with salad and crisps. That's nice.
150,000 people live in Cambridge. The city is built around the University of Cambridge, of course, which dates back to the 1200s, one of the oldest universities in the world. There are 31 constituent colleges, of which David attended Clare College. one of the newer ones. Notable alumni of Cambridge University include, well, besides David, everybody. Isaac Newton, Lord Byron, Stephen Hawking, Charles Darwin, Alan Turing, Oliver Cromwell, Sylvia Plath. You get the idea. Anyway, like many people, it's a place I wanted to see for myself.
Okay, car.
We are coming into Cambridge from the south, and I wasn't prepared for the Cambridge Biomedical Campus, the UK's hub for life sciences. Apart from the 20,000 good jobs it provides to Cambridge and the billions of pounds in research and patents it generates for the country each year, this really is the modern-day Cambridge. It is the largest medical research and life sciences center in all of Europe. Now, you could be forgiven if you thought Cambridge had more of a Harry Potter kind of vibe. Most visitors usually do.
I mean, I had my first vaccine dose was the AZ vaccine. That's the AZ headquarters, and the vaccine clinic was the other side of the bridge we're going to go over.
What is this funky building here?
And this, Laboratory of Molecular Biology of the Medical Research Council.
Wow.
It used to be a much smaller building, the other side of the Admiral's campus.
After a longish day, over 9 hours on the road, we pull into Adrian's place. You wouldn't be surprised if I told you Adrian was keen to take us on some of his regular runs in the area. We did an eastern 80K loop the first day. It was a beautiful day. Along the way, we stopped to recreate the cover of my writing partner's eco-thriller. It's a book called Burning Souls. While we visited David's old alma mater, part of his visit included presenting his book and doing a reading from it at the college.
This is more like your book cover. Do you want to just like put it on the ground like that other?
And you think David is just some guy that rides with the other guys? Now, riding the course that Adrian had picked out for us gave us a sense of what he's accustomed to. The bad pavement, which we're used to as well, and the narrow roadways didn't faze him in the least. I never really did lock into the riding on the left side. Never felt right. Anyway, we stopped at a nice coffee spot on a horsey farm, which was definitely a highlight.
Looks like we're going to a horsey place for lunch, huh?
We head out of there as the weather moves in. Clouds moving in suggest our next ride might be a little less dry. And sure enough, day 2, which has us doing a northeastern loop out of Cambridge, is less ambivalent. Decidedly wet. But hey, what's a little rain? Badass points get added to our collection for this trip. And yes, one more tire puncture for the books. On this ride, Adrian takes us to a famous bridge in the area called St. Ives. It harkens back to the 15th century, one of only 4 bridges that incorporates a chapel, believe it or not. In medieval times, these chapels doubled as toll gates for the river crossing. And of course, giving thanks. Nudge, nudge. It was later a body house, then a bar, then a doctor's surgery, then a chapel again. History takes its toll, you might say. We had one more day to get out, and we crammed a lot in with our highly overqualified tour guide, Adrian, showing us the sights. It was great to see David reliving his time in Cambridge.
And I did a classic Canadian thing. I said, I'm looking for suspenders. And the server looked at me and said, you'll be wanting, I think you'll be wanting braces. Suspenders are what ladies wear to keep up their stockings. And I said, yes, exactly.
He certainly had a different perspective than I had.
That's right.
All of this has nothing to do with biking, but we biked a long way to get here, so we deserve a great day at Cambridge. Now, this Corpus clock, officially unveiled to the public in September of 2008 by Stephen Hawking himself, the menacing locust-looking insectoid is called the chronophage, literally the time eater. It's hypnotically beautiful and deeply disturbing at the same time.
So what is this bar? This is the...
Now this bar here.
We also step back in time, which is often the case in Cambridge.
What is it?
These are various pilots and squadrons during the Second World War.
Oh, wow.
The Air Force. This area of country had a lot of American bases. And you can see behind you the tradition of air squadrons coming in and leaving their stickers. Continues to this day.
Yeah, yeah. My
Oh, I
God.
see. These are existing air squadrons.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
They also remember the movie Men.
Oh, yeah.
So Bassingbourn is one of the air bases that's 10 miles west of here. This is them building
The double helix.
the double helix model, and that's the copy of the original nature.
The discovery of life right here. We saw a lot and we did a lot in this, our last day. We walked back to Adrian and Carol's to take in the day. My room has a lot of poetry books. I find things to get lost in. So we leave for London now. It's hard to know what to dress for today because it's kind of wet, but we're heading into the rain. So we're leaving this beautiful spot in Cambridge. Didn't have much time to explore this gorgeous garden, but it is slightly out of season. Looking forward to seeing Wally and the little girl. And of course the show tomorrow night. But getting this show on the road is what's important this morning. We say our goodbyes to Carol and to Cambridge. The three of us have planned a version of getting down to London which involves cycling to Audley End train station, a soggy 40 kilometers away. Then a commuter train for David and myself into London's Liverpool Street Station. Then Komoot does its job, negotiating our way across the core of the city to the Covent Garden area. Again, David's family contacts has us staying with a friend of the family. Nicholas was in the diplomatic corps and a contemporary of his father's. Nicholas has kindly afforded us shelter while we are in the city. London is a pricey place for anybody to live and for anybody to visit. A lot has changed since I spent any time here. Most noticeably are the bike paths and the general lack of congestion on the roads. A lot of it was not here even 10 to 15 years ago, for instance. As I recall, there was no way you were cycling near Buckingham Palace, for instance. Now there are separate bike lanes. It's a big change. In London, congestion pricing was introduced in 2003, after seeing how effective it was in Singapore. London decided to charge drivers for the privilege of riding the core of the city. It's now nearly $20 US a day to do that if you're a car driver.
All right. Keep looking back every once in a while.
To me, it seems inevitable for massive cities around the world that this will happen. Congestion pricing, or a version thereof. Only the very uber wealthy or business deliveries will actually drive downtown. Everybody else takes public transit or their bikes.
The central London congestion charges and all the cycle lanes and other things, there's just so much less traffic than this used to be. Packed.
Yeah, there's still lots of people, but I know what you mean. Now it's all public. It's all either zip cars or buses or taxis.
Back in 2000, Ken Livingstone, the first elected mayor of London, made promises related to cycling in the city that reverberate to this day. His goal then was to have 5% of daily work commutes to be by bike. It's close to that now, but for instance, in Cambridge, it's already well over 20%, and in Amsterdam, it's 47% go to work by bike. They do have a long way to go here in London, but a long way to go is the problem, likely. London is huge. For many, living in the boroughs and getting to work is a 20 to 40K ordeal each day, and most people just aren't up for that. The battle for safe cycling is ongoing in London, and it's led by the London Cycling Campaign.
Big bad city, now with its own bike
The
lane.
infrastructure needs and demands of an old city like London makes it very difficult politically to move cycling up the list of priorities, but at least cycling is now included in transport planning models. Cycling here is better, but there is a long, long way to go. As cycling visitors, we are hyper alert to this reality. Now, in terms of getting my bicycle back to Canada, I'm very lucky. I have a bike box that I brought over to Vienna when we started the trip. David chose the cardboard box option, and you will recall what happened to him. My bike box is now in London with my daughter Wallace, not because shipping it ahead made any sense. It doesn't. Now that Great Britain is a separate country, you don't even want to think about getting something like this across the border and through customs into England. In any case, my son-in-law, Alex, was visiting Wallace for a spell while we were on our road trip. He was kind enough to bring my bike box as his personal luggage. I owe him a great big thank you. David, on the other hand, has been a tad anxious since it is not particularly bike season right now. He has had very little response from his inquiries to cycle shops in London regarding getting one of their empty boxes. Fortunately, one very friendly shop. Actually, on the way to Nicholas's place in Covent Garden, the gang at Balf's bike shop were friendly and keen to help David out with his boxing needs. We stopped in, and sure enough, he could come back the next day and pick up a box. That's a big load off his mind that allowed us to enjoy our next few days, especially the show at Covent Garden tomorrow. And what a show it was. I am also sure Mommy would agree that the star of the show, at least backstage, was Miss Bonnie. Everyone loves her. I mean, can you blame them? I've been to a lot of my big girls' performances all over the world, but this one is kind of special, and not because we cycled a few thousand kilometers to get here. Seeing her in the prime of her ability, witnessing the joy she brings to people, and the love she has for what she does, it makes this life worthwhile in a way that is kind of hard to explain. Suffice it to say, the life you see at Cycle Travel Pace is just about the best. And with a performance payoff like I had tonight, I don't think it gets any better.
That's busy.
That's better. You got it. You gone? Bounce. On our trip, though, we still have a few travel details to work out. Getting the bike box that is with Wallace full of our gear to Nicholas's, where our bikes are, so we can pack our gear, then clean and pack the bikes before we head to the airport from Nicholas's tomorrow morning. It's a beautiful day, taking the bike packs down the road in order to secure a black cab to get to Nicholas's house. Here's Wally's place. Baby didn't get enough sleep last night. I did. Had a great 2 days here in London. Final day where we had a little bit of sunshine. It's been cloudy and kind of for the last 4 or 5 days. And now it's gorgeous because we're getting closer to leaving. Isn't that always the way? Anyway, still a few adventures. Spent a night at Nicholas's with Nick and his group and David. Say goodbye to Wally here and then head off down the road. Vienna to London 2024 is complete. In some manner, it is just and right that it took as long to edit this tour as it did to ride it. It's life in action right there. As for the credits, this video is done for the joy of reliving the experience in the hours of reviewing and editing. It was completed for friends of David's and for friends of mine. You know, it's tough to please an audience sometimes. My daughter surely knows that. So if you have done your best and you're happy with it, that is all the audience that matters.